Good afternoon. Hamilton police have provided an update on the fatal shooting of an innocent bystander back in July.
Belinda Sarkodie was struck and killed by a stray bullet while walking downtown after suspects opened fire. CTV's John Musselman has been following the investigation and joins us live with more. John.
Well, Nathan, this was a story that really rattled the citizens of Hamilton. This happened at 5:30 in the evening at a very busy area of the city when these shots rang out. Now, we do have some video to show you. The victim, as you mentioned, was Belinda Sarkodie. She was 26 years old. She came to Canada from Ghana in 2024. She was out shopping with a friend that day. She was waiting at a bus to go home when police say that a gunman on a scooter came into that area and started firing. He was targeting another individual, but Sarkodie was an innocent victim struck by a bullet. She died at the scene. Now, the update today is that youth has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder in connection with this case and 2 counts of attempted murder towards the people he was targeting on the street. Now, we cannot identify him by name or age under provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act, but we did hear from the chief of Hamilton Police and the detective in charge of this case. Here's what they had to tell us just a short time ago.
To think of July the 11th and arguably the busiest intersection of our city, at the intersection of James Street and King, steps away from an art crawl where thousands of people were gathering that afternoon to enjoy the great culture and the great things that we have in the beautiful city of Hamilton. And a young punk thinks it's okay and thinks they're entitled enough to show up on a scooter and take the life of a 26-year-old young girl, Belinda, from Ghana.
Yesterday afternoon, a young person wanted in connection with Belinda's murder turned himself into police. He has been arrested and is now facing charges related to this investigation. Because this matter involves a young person, we are prohibited under the Youth Criminal Justice Act from releasing any identifying information, including the individual's name or any details that could lead to their identification. We want to thank the public for their cooperation, as well as the officers and community partners who worked diligently on this case.
Now, police say this has been an ongoing investigation for 4 months, looking at surveillance video, trying to nail down who the suspect was. In fact, they had a judicial approval to release a picture of a person of interest at that time. We can no longer show you that photo or even confirm whether or not that is the person who is now in custody. Reporting live in Hamilton, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. MPPs have approved Bill 33, which gives Ontario Education Minister more power to take control of Ontario school boards.
Critics of the bill say it silences the voices of both students and parents. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live now with this developing story. Siobhan.
Well, there were some cheers, or some chants rather, of shame inside the legislative chamber when this bill passed by a vote of 74 to 40. Reporters here at Queen's Park have just wrapped up a lengthy scrum with the Minister of Education. He calls this a good day, and he also accused critics of this bill of wanting to divide rather than listen and come together. This bill does a couple different things on the education front. It does make it easier for the Minister of Education to step in, intervene, take over, and appoint a supervisor at school boards right across the province. Now, before they really had to be in financial dire straits, this smooths that path. Paul Callander has said he didn't have a specific board ready to launch a takeover of as soon as this bill passed, but he has been talking a lot in recent weeks about the Near North District School Board in Parry Sound. He says that is a board that's been rife with dysfunction. You've seen trustees trying to undermine projects, a high school there that has been under construction for years. Parents didn't know that it wasn't going to be ready for the school year until late August. And so in recent weeks, we've had students learning in a half demolished school. And so he says that's the sort of thing that's just not acceptable. A board that he has certainly been eyeing for potential takeover. It also forces school boards to take on a school resource program. That's where you see police officers in schools if a local police service wants to offer them. That also has raised a lot of anger and frustration. They worry about the kind of relationship that is going to have or the effect it's going to have on racialized students? That's the question that Paul Calandra was asking when he says that he has been listening and accuses critics of this plan of wanting to divide. The critics of that plan, whether they come from the worlds of education or politics, say this is centralizing power in the Ministry of Education and taking away the influence and the input of parents, locally elected trustees. They say that they're going to continue to fight this, though it's not really clear what that fight might look like, whether it's protests or other measures. All of this, of course, is coming in the context of the greater review that the Minister of Education is doing at education governance, taking a look at whether school boards still make sense in their current form. He has mused very publicly in recent months about maybe doing away with trustees altogether. Paul Calandra has said he will make a decision on that front by the end of the year. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Siobhan. A 14-year-old boy was taken to hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Ajax. It happened around 8 this morning outside Pickering Christian School at the corner of Harwood and Roseland. Police say the boy was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The circumstances leading up to the boy being struck are still under investigation.
Police are searching for a man wanted in connection with a stabbing in Scarborough. This happened around 8:30 last night near Kingston and Overture Roads. Police say a man in his 20s was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Police say the suspect was last seen wearing a black mask and a brown hoodie. Investigators are asking anyone who might have information to come forward.
An SUV crashed in Scarborough early this morning in someone's backyard. The home is near Warden and Bridletown Circle, just north of Finch. Part of the backyard fence was destroyed, but police say no one was hurt and no arrests were made. Investigators have not given a possible cause. An SUV rollover in Scarborough overnight. Now, this happened on St. Clair, just east of Brimley Road. Police say the driver involved ran from the scene. Investigators have not given a description and are asking anyone with information to come forward. No injuries were reported.
And no injuries were reported in connection with an industrial fire this morning. Fire crews called to a building just before 5:30 a.m. in the area of DuPont and Dufferin. When they arrived, there was heavy smoke as well as flames coming from the roof of the building. The cause of this fire remains under investigation.
Still to come, Prime Minister Mark Carney is on his way to the United Arab Emirates. We'll have more on the trip aimed at drumming up investment in Canada a little later in the newscast.
The province is working to encourage residents to buy energy-efficient appliances.
This initiative will help reduce overall 3,000 megawatts of power from the grid. It is equivalent to 1.5 Pickering nuclear generators being removed. 3,000 megawatts is power for 3 million homes. So it is good for the environment, yes, but is most importantly good for the economics of everyday families who are struggling in this new world order.
The Home Renovation Savings Program, which initially provided rebates for energy-efficient renovations and improvements, now includes rebates of up to $200 for energy-efficient appliances. They include refrigerators and washing machines. The program and its expansion are part of a previously announced commitment by the Ford government to spend nearly $11 billion on energy efficiency over the next 12 years. Toronto got an early blast of wintry weather, but we haven't seen much snow since.
Despite that, both police and CAA are urging drivers to prepare for snowy conditions as the winter season approaches. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with more on the warnings for drivers. We know change is coming, Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Given the winter snowstorm we already faced earlier this month, local police forces are trying to remind us all that it is time to get ready for winter driving season. The CAA, the Ministry of Transportation, Toronto Police, and the OPP partnered this morning to launch the Winter Readiness Campaign. The focus is on bringing everyone's attention to what they can do to protect themselves and their families this winter. Now, police encourage drivers to plan for extra travel time if the weather is bad, to remove ice and snow from windows and mirrors before hitting the roads to maximize visibility, and to make sure they have plenty of fuel in their tanks. Of course, they're also recommending that we install winter tires to improve traction on wet, slippery roads.
Winter's on its way. We better get ready because Mother Nature's not waiting. And when the snow hits and the ice and snow comes flying down, it limits our visibility, makes the roads a little more challenging. The plows and salters are out there, and we always see a spike in collisions. And, you know, it comes down to driver error. If you're going to be out on the roads in snow or winter weather, give yourself that distance behind traffic in front of you. Allows you to have some time to slow down, change lanes, or stop, and stay in control. We just need drivers to be aware of the surroundings, use your mirrors, make sure your vehicle is cleared off in ice and snow, and get to where you're going safely. But, hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, keep your mind on what needs to be done in terms of the task of driving, and let's all share the road safely and responsibly.
Now, another thing the CAA always recommends is that you have an emergency kit in the back of your car, and that would include things like jumper cables, a blanket, shovels, tea light candles and matches, as well as non-perishable food items and water. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Nathan.
All right, thank you, Janice. We have more news in a moment, but first, to check on the forecast. There's a live look at the city this afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a few clouds. It looks lovely out there. And it does make a difference, weather-wise at least. Things seem to be steady. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. And yeah, it makes sense that we're starting to talk about winter driving. We've already had a few rounds of snow here in southern Ontario, but all is quiet for the next little bit here in the GTA anyway. Look at that. We're now at 5 degrees. That is our forecast daytime high for today. So we are right where we expect to be this time of year. Winds very light in nature, but worth pointing out the direction that they're coming from. A northwest wind, still going to make it feel a little cool out there. So even though it's 5 degrees, might feel a degree or two cooler than that. Lots of sunshine today. We are going to enjoy that right throughout the afternoon. Tomorrow looks like a similar day. Here's this afternoon, mainly sunny with light winds and near normal temperatures. Coming up, we'll talk about what's in store as we make our way closer to the weekend. That's all ahead. For now, though, Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The federal budget was just barely able to pass thanks to abstentions from both NDP and Conservative MPs. And now one of those members of Parliament is speaking out. Conservative MP Shannon Stubbs was one of 2 members of her party who didn't vote on Monday. A number of angry messages were directed at her on social media, but her office reiterated in a statement that she is off for medical leave, specifically jaw and chin surgery that was delayed because of the spring election. Stubbs says she strongly opposed the budget, which passed by a razor-thin 170 to 168. The other Conservative MP not to vote was Matt Genereux, who recently announced plans to resign his seat. Canadians are continuing to feel the pinch at the grocery store, even with counter tariffs recently lifted.
Despite the move, many shoppers say they will continue to buy Canadian, even if it means paying more. CTV's Dave Charbonneau reports.
As the cost of groceries remains high, many shoppers are changing buying habits. The Buy Canadian campaign is waning.
You can't completely eliminate all American stuff, right?
Now that Canada has lifted reciprocal tariffs on the U.S., Loblaws CEO says shoppers are searching for the best discounts, no matter the origin. Prices on direct imported products from the U.S. have gone down to normal. And of course, we are seeing some customers who are going back to those products that they love now that they are much cheaper than they were.
I think it's coming down to cost for me. A lot of it, yeah. So I'm probably, I'm paying less attention to it, overall, yeah. I mean, we gotta like save our dollars, right? It's like the price of stuff is crazy.
It's about cost as well. So when stuff is cheaper, I'll go with the cheaper option.
Experts say the season also plays a role.
Lots of times that patriotism is blended with affordability. So as Canada ends into the off season for growing, and we start to rely more heavily on imports, the ability to choose Canadian isn't always as prevalent as it would be in the growing season.
Well, at this time of the year, you have really no choice in terms of fresh vegetable and fruit to buy outside of Canada. So, and that probably means through the United States.
For others, Buy Canadian still sends a strong message.
Are you boycotting American products 100%?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What if there's something that doesn't exist in the Canadian version?
I don't buy it.
Are you still boycotting the American stuff when you can?
Not necessarily boycotting them on purpose. I don't go out of my way necessarily. But if I can purchase Canadian, I'll do that.
For many, buying Canadian remains a priority, even with higher prices.
What if you have 2 products side by side and the American one's cheaper?
We buy the Canadian one.
You still pay more?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's our local businesses, it's our folks that are working hard to do things, and I try not to buy American, preferably.
Food import prices are also expected to drop even more in Canada soon, due to President Trump's decision to reduce tariffs on basic food staples. Dave Charbonneau, CTV News.
Well, turning our attention below the border, in a rare bipartisan move, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to release all government documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The bill forces the release of all files and communications related to Epstein within 30 days, as soon as U.S. President Donald Trump signs off. Trump has indicated he will sign the bill, despite earlier attempts to stall the release of those files. CTV's Scott Hurst has been following this story. He joins us once again with more. Scott, President Trump spoke about the Epstein case just hours before the House vote. What's the latest we've been hearing from him on this matter now that this vote is passed?
Michelle, the bill moved through both houses of Congress remarkably fast, at least in reference to the past several months where the bill was stuck not going anywhere, with White House and GOP leadership for months trying to quash it. But as you mentioned, Trump ultimately bowing to political pressure, ensuring Republicans and signaling that they should in fact support it, only after it was evident there was enough bipartisan support pushing it forward. Now, in terms of Trump's reaction during a meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in the Oval Office yesterday, once again calling the ordeal and the release of the Epstein files a Democrat hoax, belittling the reporter asking the question, attacking the network the reporter works for, but has signaled he would sign the bill. Now, the bill's passage is a big moment for Epstein survivors. For them, a years-long push for accountability and transparency. Here's more from two of them speaking to CTV News earlier today.
To feel seen, validated, and heard for the first time that we've been fighting this fight.
We're here. We have a voice. If it was a hoax, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have been fighting this.
Now, Michelle, we are still waiting specifically to find out when the U.S. president will, in fact, sign this bill into law, and it could happen as early as today.
A lot of people waiting to see what the timeline is here. So once it's signed, what comes next? When could we see the files made public?
Yeah, the timeline kicks in when it is signed, when the U.S. president does put his signature on it, turning the bill into a law. And that is a 30-day timeline for all files and communications related to Epstein from the Justice Department, as well as any information about the investigation into his death in federal prison. It does, however, allow the Justice Department to redact information about Epstein's victims or continuing federal investigations that might be underway. We did hear from U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi at another press conference about fugitive Ryan Wedding held in the United States. She didn't have much to say about the Epstein question, although she did get some questions from reporters about the release of the files. What she did say is that they will continue to follow the law while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency. So, Michelle, as I mentioned, there is a 30-day timeline that does kick in when the U.S. president does, in fact, sign this bill into law.
CTV's Scott Hurst live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
The King and Queen of Sweden are taking part in the second day of their state visit to Canada.
The Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, Mrs. Diana Fox Carney, Their Majesties King Carl XVI Gustaf, and Queen Sylvia of Sweden.
A state dinner was held at Rideau Hall last night for the King and Queen. The state visit, their first since 2006, is aimed at strengthening political, defense, and commercial ties between the two countries, bonds that were highlighted by the King during his speech.
I have a very special, as mentioned before, bond to Canada, because my great-grandfather, as you heard, Prince Arthur of Connaught, was a Governor General of Canada from 1911 to 1916.
Today, the King and Queen will visit the Innovation Zone at the Canada Science and Technology Museum.
Well, the Prime Minister's next stop is the United Arab Emirates. Mark Carney left Ottawa late last night and is due to land in Abu Dhabi this afternoon. He's hoping to attract investment in Canada to help build major infrastructure projects and fuel this country's energy, defense, and tech sectors. Carney is the first Prime Minister to visit the UAE since 1983.
The amount of wealth that exists there, and they are large investors, and they do like to invest in the kinds of projects that we're talking about. I mean, twin that with the other news we're hearing about today, you know, the possibility that there will be a major pipeline, possibly some sort of memorandum of understanding with the federal government, British Columbia, Alberta. What if you get a major project that takes it to the North Shore of British Columbia. That's the kind of project that those sovereign wealth funds in the UAE would look at hungrily and say, well, we could put some investment capital behind that. So it could be very significant.
Carney is due to meet with senior government and business leaders in the UAE before traveling to South Africa on Friday for the G20 summit.
The Alberta government has invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause to prevent legal challenges over a trio of laws affecting transgender youths and adults.
We've said previously that we're prepared to use every single legal and constitutional tool available to protect the well-being of young people. And that's why we'll be invoking the notwithstanding clause.
This is the second time in less than a month that Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's government is applying the clause to a bill, previously using it to halt a teacher strike. The 3 laws related to transgender individuals were passed more than a year ago, affecting gender-diverse youth in healthcare, schools, and sport. Advocacy groups had challenged the policies in court, calling them unconstitutional.
A new report will be released today on the experience victims of sexual violence have with Canada's criminal justice system. The Office of the Federal Ombudsperson for Victims of Crime looked into the interactions survivors have with law enforcement and the justice system. Ombudsperson Benjamin Roebuck says there is an urgent need to improve how the system treats victims of crime. He says victims' rights are often ignored and survivors are re-traumatized.
The FBI gave an update today on the manhunt for Ryan Wedding, announcing new charges facing the former Olympic snowboarder accused of leading a deadly drug smuggling operation. CTV's Renee Rogers has been following this story and joins us live with more. This was a pretty big news conference.
It really was, Nathan. Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing a number of new charges in the case of Canadian Olympic snowboarder turned alleged drug kingpin Ryan Wedding. He remains on the run. He has been since October of 2024. But these new charges of 2 additional counts of witness tampering and intimidation, murder, money laundering, and drug trafficking stem from the murder of a witness, a key witness who was cooperating with the FBI surrounding the case of Wedding, who the FBI accuses of running a $1 billion Mexican cartel-linked drug trafficking network, transporting large amounts of cocaine from Colombia through Mexico and the U.S. and eventually on to Canada. Bondi described more details today of how Wedding allegedly tracked that witness down ahead of the killing. Take a listen.
He used a Canadian website called The Dirty News to post photographs of the witness and his wife in order to locate him, which ultimately succeeded. The witness was gunned down in a restaurant in Medellin before he could testify against Wedding.
Now that killing taking place in Colombia, Nathan, but Wedding is also accused of helping to orchestrate a number of other murders, including a couple in Caledon, Ontario, which was in a case of mistaken identity. Now, several other individuals accused in the murder of this witness are also included in this indictment. And another update to tell you, Wedding does remain on the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives list, but today they have upped the reward for information leading to his arrest from $10 million. Today now, that number is $15 million for any information. Nathan.
A significant increase. CTV's Renee Rogers in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Looking overseas, as the ceasefire in Gaza appears to hold, deadly violence is ramping up along the Israel-Lebanon border, with Israel carrying out airstrikes today. Israeli forces carried out a strike on a Palestinian refugee camp in the southern Lebanese city of Sidon. 13 people were killed, according to local officials. Israel says it was striking Hamas militants operating in a training compound. The Palestinian group called the claim a fabrication. Elsewhere, Israel said it carried out strikes on what it called Hezbollah infrastructure. Israel has accused the Iran-backed group of trying to rearm despite their ceasefire deal. Hezbollah says it's followed the terms of the deal.
At least 25 people are dead after a Russian strike on an apartment building in western Ukraine. Officials said 3 children were among the dead, and the death toll could rise, with about 25 people still missing. Russia launched the attack as President Volodymyr Zelensky traveled for talks in Turkey intended to help revive peace negotiations. As the Ukrainian leader urges allies to step up sanctions on Moscow, the European Union today stepped up its own defense planning.
Today's military mobility package marks a decisive step in strengthening Europe's ability to respond to any security crisis or threat. Because the time to prepare is not when the crisis hits, it is now.
If approved, the defense package would see EU countries spend the equivalent of nearly $29 billion to better prepare bridges, ports, and tunnels for seamless transport of troops and military equipment if the need arises. In Poland today, state media reported multiple arrests in connection with an explosion that damaged a rail line linking Warsaw to Ukraine. Officials had accused 2 Ukrainian citizens of responsibility, saying they were collaborating with Russian secret services. Poland said today it will deploy 10,000 soldiers in a bid to protect infrastructure.
A test of the Alert Ready system will have phones and other devices blaring across the province later this hour. Alerts will be issued at 12:55 p.m. That will include information about the test. They will also broadcast on TVs, radios, and other wireless devices connected to the internet. Government agencies can use the system to warn people about situations that present a threat to life, such as extreme weather or terrorist attacks. Emergency alerts have been issued more than 200 times in Ontario this year.
With the holiday season approaching, the Salvation Army has launched its annual fundraising campaign.
However, the organization is expressing concern donations could be down across the country this year. CTV's Dylan Dyson reports.
It's that familiar sound you hear through malls and grocery stores this time of year, the Salvation Army's Christmas Kettle campaign.
The Salvation Army's Christmas Kettle campaign has kicked off here in Ottawa. Over 30 kettles will be seen across the city in locations like grocery stores, Walmarts, Loblaws, LCPO, Costco.
The Salvation Army says this holiday season it is seeing more need at its centers under the pressure of the rising cost of living and tight holiday budgets.
Families want to have, a nice Christmas as well, for their children. And so for sure food is a big one with the cost of food going up like crazy. A lot of parents are struggling just to either make ends meet or to make it even just, a little bit more special.
The federal government has said it plans to cut 28,000 jobs from the public service over the coming years, adding to the financial worry in Ottawa at a difficult time of year.
Those donations are supporting neighbors with things like food insecurity, assistance with housing, or making sure that people don't have to make those impossible choices between paying the rent or putting food on the table.
We're so lucky, and a lot of people aren't. I was a volunteer in a soup kitchen for many, many, many years, so I've seen people firsthand who are needy.
Money donated to kettles at the Carlingwood Shopping Centre and in Westboro goes back to the Salvation Army's Bethany Hope Centre, benefiting local families.
100% of the proceeds from those kettles comes back here into our center, and that money is used for program supplies. It is to help us to stock our shelves that we have here in our food share.
Across Ottawa, the Salvation Army has a goal of raising $325,000 this holiday season, a number that the Bethany Hope Centre says may be tough to reach.
Why not help people in need? I mean, I could end up on the street myself, and I would really appreciate it if someone helped me out at the same time.
I'm always floored by the generosity of our community, but I think our goal keeps going up, but it never meets the goal yet.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
Well, we have found ourselves in a pretty pleasant weather pattern overall. Sunshine expected the next couple of days here. Yesterday, we had a seasonal high of 6.8 degrees. Here's a look at the almanac. 6 is now our seasonal norm, and it's also quite cool in parts of northern Ontario, almost minus 16 degrees today in Chapleau. So it could be a little worse. We're going to enjoy this seasonal weather across southern Ontario right through the day. Tomorrow, it could be a little bit warmer, and we expect to be even milder the day after that. We're going to take you right through the weekend forecast on the other side of this break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, lots of beautiful sunshine today, which really adds a spring in your step. But boy, when you're in minus territory to start your day and you get outside, it's cold. I came in from the morning walk to school and left my jacket on for 20 minutes.
No, that can be deceiving. You look outside, it looks like it's nice out, and it does feel good when you see the sunshine. But it is a little bit chilly, especially if you are in the shade or if the cloud just happens to cover the sun.
Yeah, you're so right. Here's the nice thing. Pretty much every day this week, we start off quite chilly, especially in the morning, below freezing wind chills as well. But then we have a nice glow up in the afternoon. So some sunshine expected for the next couple of days. Daytime highs near normal the next couple of days. And by Friday, we could be back in the double digits, which would be above seasonal as well. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. We often say that the coldest temperature of the day is usually just before sunrise because there's been all that nighttime cooling. Sunrise today, roughly 7:15, and this is what it looked like over Lake Ontario, courtesy of our CTV News chopper. Looked quite pretty. As we make our way through the next couple of days here, we are not going to see a whole lot of change in the way our temperature story goes. Again, a little spike in temperature, which will be nice heading into the weekend. Let me show you our upper air pattern. This gives us some clues as to what the jet stream is doing. Again, we're pretty stable the next little while. I do see signs of a bit of a cool down as we make our way through the middle part of next week. So that's still a week away. We'll keep an eye on things. Until then, we should be able to enjoy seasonal temperatures. We're at 5 degrees right now. That is also near normal. And it feels like 5 degrees. So we've said goodbye to the wind chill. The winds are quite light today. That makes a big difference out there. And through the evening hours, we anticipate that we fall to about the freezing mark and then just below freezing through the overnight hours. So waking up again tomorrow morning, little chilly, but then the daytime high not so bad. Coldest point of the night, overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, -2 degrees is going to feel more like -6. So don't forget the winter jacket early tomorrow morning. But look at the afternoon, mainly sunny skies and a high of 7. So perhaps 2 degrees warmer than we are today. And it's looking pretty nice right across the board. 6 degrees tomorrow in Woodstock, 5 in Innisfil, 7 for you in Caledon, and 6 degrees in places like Gravenhurst and Cobourg. A little bit cooler in sections of eastern Ontario. In fact, at one point early this morning, it was -10 degrees in Kingston. Here's the satellite and radar imagery. We've got a few flurries impacting areas around the Algonquin Highlands, for example, but lots of sunshine around the Golden Horseshoe. For the most part, we are under the influence of high pressure. So that means a quiet couple of days. We do see a bit of an increase in cloud cover overnight tonight and then again overnight into Friday. But your daytime hours on Thursday look quite lovely. Once again, mainly sunny skies. There's that increase in cloud. Heads up for Friday morning. We could get a few isolated rain showers, but that's it. This is quick moving, not expected to impact the majority of the day. In fact, we will have sunshine once again through the afternoon. And then overnight into Saturday, slight chance of maybe a little bit of mixed precip. Sunday is looking lovely at this point. Sunshine and 9 degrees for a forecast daytime high. I think that's a pretty good forecast for Santa Claus coming to town for the original Santa Claus parade in Toronto. There's Friday at 10 degrees, again 9 into the day on Sunday, and remaining quite comfortable for Monday and perhaps into Tuesday as well. That's the weather for now. Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Maple Leafs snapped a 5-game losing skid in dramatic fashion last night.
Free for Riley, drops it back to Nylander, pulls it around, Nylander, backhand shot, scores!
William Nylander was the hero for the Leafs. He scored in overtime to lift the team to a 3-2 win over the St. Louis Blues. The Leafs will look for a second straight win when they face off with the Columbus Blue Jackets tomorrow night.
Can we talk about the Raptors? They'll be looking for a 5th straight win when they take on the Philadelphia 76ers tonight.
Double comes in a crowd, finds it, cutting Barrett, goes in and lays it up and through.
The team coming off that 110-108 win over the Charlotte Hornets on Monday. Tip-off for tonight's game against the 76ers set for just after 7 p.m. in Philadelphia.
Well, Bo Bichette has rejected a qualifying offer from the Blue Jays and will now test free agency. Bichette rejected the offer, which would have seen him make just over $22 million next year with the Jays. Bichette, who finished second in the majors with 181 hits last season, is considered one of the top free agents in this year's class and is expected to secure a major contract. If he signs with another team, the Jays will receive a draft pick due to Bichette rejecting the qualifying offer.
A new report warns less than half of Canadian adults are getting enough physical exercise. We'll have more on this new data when we return.
A new report is warning less than half of Canadian adults are getting enough physical exercise.
The last time adults' physical activity levels were examined were in 2021, where we saw about 49% of adults meeting national physical activity guidelines. And so while we've certainly seen a little bit of a decrease, I think what's important to take away from that is that considering what we endured throughout the pandemic, the closures, the cancellations, the restrictions on outdoor spaces, and the increased screen use, it really does suggest that we were able to stabilize our overall movement.
In his 2025 report card, Participation finds just 46% of adults are meeting the guidelines for physical activity. The report says physical inactivity is costing the healthcare system $3.9 billion a year, and a modest 15% increase in physical activity could save nearly $1 billion annually.
Overcrowded emergency rooms across the province are now facing additional pressure from the arrival of respiratory virus season.
In the Ottawa area this week, one hospital issued a notice warning about a severe capacity issue and longer than normal wait times. CTV's Tyler Fleming has the story.
Annika Hamilton is slowly recovering from a stubborn bug.
Like lung cold.
The kind that had her seeking help from the emergency room hospital in Smiths Falls. The wait?
3 hours, 4 hours maybe.
And as her and her partner Shane were leaving the hospital.
Yeah, it was just brutal.
It was very busy, no seats anywhere, so everybody was kind of like standing.
The Perth and Smiths Falls District Hospital issued a notice this week warning a severe capacity issue is leading to longer than usual wait times, with the most urgent cases being prioritized.
Our buddy, he was there just a couple days after. He had to wait for 5 hours just for a simple prescription.
Ottawa hospitals are under pressure too, and the high volume has staff juggling a backlog of patients needing beds. Hospitals across the region are already stressed, and a growing flu season could push them even further.
Doctors, nurses, health professionals, all of whom were short, combined with the flu season.
Coupled with COVID and RSV, the Ontario Health Coalition says Ontario's medical system is in desperate need of more government funding.
Surgeries get canceled because there are no beds available. Emergency departments back up because there are no beds available. Ambulances back up and have to wait to offload their patients because there are no beds available. Like, it screws up the whole system.
Making it worse, a shortage of family doctors. In the meantime, hospitals continue to triage, prioritize, and scramble to find capacity.
And at the same time, if we increase collectively the uptake of our vaccines, all those three things will actually decrease the burden in the hospitals and, in fact, decrease the burden of illness in our community.
Hamilton hopes to stave off any more viruses heading into the winter.
It's going to get worse.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
Still to come, artwork from the Hudson's Bay Company collection is up for auction. We'll have more on some of the pieces when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Early retirement is a goal for many, but a new survey finds it can be a double-edged sword given current economic pressures.
Now, many would-be retirees are concerned about being able to meet basic living expenses. CTV's Heather Wright explains.
The number of people living past 100 has more than doubled in the last 25 years. And for some, retirement is starting earlier and lasting longer, forcing tough financial decisions.
I think in the economy today, people have to keep working.
According to a survey from Manulife, 42% of respondents say they are worried about paying for basic expenses in retirement. That's up from 28% in 2020. 43% are worried about health care costs in retirement, an increase from 31% 5 years ago. And nearly half say their retirement savings are behind schedule.
That concern around day-to-day expenses, this is something that is a concern for pre-retirees and everybody. So it's not surprising to me that that would also be a concern going into retirement.
While the number of people retiring early is increasing, it's not always by choice. According to Manulife, only 15% of those who retired early did so because they had saved enough money. 33% retired due to their health, while 13% retired to care for a loved one, which is why experts say planning for various scenarios is key.
Disability is a reality as you get older, and especially amongst seniors. It's just really critical that we're planning for that.
Fiona Cassidy is among the 15% who retired early by choice. She says having a plan is key, and so is starting early.
Getting the benefits of accrued interest is, that's a smart way to do it.
Experts say another factor to consider when retirement planning is inflation. And while it dipped slightly to 2.2% last month, the cost of living is still putting a squeeze on those on a fixed income. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A new report finds Canadian renters often pay the equivalent of an extra month of rent. The analysis from rentals.ca reveals when costs such as parking, storage, internet, and insurance are factored in, many renters are effectively paying the equivalent of 13 or 14 months of rent each year. While Vancouver and Toronto are the country's most expensive cities, they rank relatively low in percentage of additional expenses compared to other major cities, including Ottawa, Halifax, Calgary, and Edmonton.
Canadian history is going up for auction today as Hudson's Bay sells 27 of its paintings. 27 of the most valuable pieces in Hudson's Bay's art collection are scheduled to hit the auction block. Now, it's being overseen by Heffel Fine Art Auction House. The star of the show is expected to be a painting of Marrakesh by former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. It's valued between $400,000 and $600,000.
Coming up, a Christmas tree has taken over a public square in Waterloo, all thanks to a generous donation from a local resident. We'll have the story in moments. Here and there, it's beginning to look more like Christmas, including in Waterloo.
The city's Christmas tree has gone up in a public square thanks to the generous donation of a local resident. CTV's Ashley Bacon has the story.
For the last 2 decades, this spruce has called Crestwood Avenue in Kitchener home, but it's outgrown its current space.
I think it's a little bit too big now, and I need to get rid of it.
And Henny Gottfried decided it needed a new purpose.
So I thought, it's actually a nice tree. Maybe I try to donate it. I tried City of Kitchener, I phoned them, and then I phoned Waterloo. And Waterloo liked it. Going to be a nice Christmas tree. I think everybody will like it.
The city of Waterloo says this tree was meant to be. It's got all the right specs they were looking for.
The family was looking to get rid of it and had reached out and got it in our hands, and it came out. It was the perfect tree this year, shape, form, everything like that.
But logistically, moving a tree that weighs around a ton, 2,100 pounds to be specific, can be a challenge.
We got some hydro wires behind us, so pull it up over top of the hydro wires, get it onto the tag-along trailer, and then crews will navigate their way to uptown. So once we get uptown, it's very tight there, so we have to kind of navigate with the LRT and all the different pieces of the puzzle there.
After slowly making its way through town, it arrived here at Waterloo Square to the delight of people who were watching.
I think it's very exciting to actually see it go up because now it's in the spirit of Christmas, and it's just really fun to see it go up.
And a big accomplishment for the crew who got it done.
It kind of kicks off the Christmas season, the holiday season in uptown Waterloo, so it's a lot of fun for us.
Now that the tree has been installed, Christmas and holiday enthusiasts will have to wait until December 5th for the tree lighting ceremony. Ashley Bacon, CTV News, Waterloo.
So, is the tree up yet?
No, I'm a December kind of tree person.
Yeah.
I love a real tree, though. That tree is so gorgeous. Yeah, but the December starts during the week, so maybe the end of November. How about you?
Not mid-December. How about yourself?
Mine's up. Right after Remembrance Day. I wait until Remembrance Day is finished, and then it's go time.
I love it. It's probably gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you. I do think so. But now my kids are starting to decorate it, so it's not exactly the way I want it, but that's okay. This is the whole point,
You gotta let go.
I will say, though, this weather is pretty close to what I want to see in November. Sunshine, comfortable temperatures, light winds, and tonight will be a little bit chilly, but not too bad either. -2 degrees. Going to feel like -6 through those overnight hours. Here's tomorrow. Daytime high 7 degrees, mainly sunny skies during the daytime hours once again. In fact, we found ourselves in a pretty nice pattern heading into the weekend as well. Chance of showers into the early morning hours of Friday. Otherwise, it looks good. And look at all that sunshine for Saturday and for Sunday. Here's one more look at the 7-day forecast. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.